I want to tell you a story of intrigue and infighting, of politics and rebellion, and how one man lost his leadership. It's the story of Moses. We're going to pick up the story in the book of Numbers, and it's in the 12th chapter where finally the Israelites leave Sinai, the mountain of God, to head to the promised land. And it doesn't take long until in the 11th chapter, the people complain about their hardships. The rabble began to crave other food. In chapter 12, Miriam and Aaron begin to talk against Moses. In chapter 13, Moses sends people out to look into the promised land. At last we're here, we're going to make it. But when the spies come back and give the stories of all the milk and honey, the people say they don't like giants and they're not going in. And in chapter 14, the people, the community, rises up and rebels against Moses. There are supplementary laws that follow, and then in chapter 16 there are 3 men, it says, that became insolent and rose up against Moses and got all the most important members of the community to rise against him. We have various duties of priests and Levites. And then in chapter 20, here's where I want to focus. Moses by now is getting worn out. It has been one political battle, one rebellion after another, year in, year out. His sister Miriam dies. And the people say, there's no water for the community, and they gathered in opposition to Moses and Aaron, and they quarreled. If only we died when our brothers fell dead. Why did you bring the Lord's community into the desert? Our livestock should die here. We'll die here. Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to this terrible place? And so Moses and Aaron once more go into the tent of meeting, call upon the Lord, and the Lord says, take the staff. You and your brother Aaron gather the assembly together, speak to that rock before their eyes, and it will pour out water. So Moses took the staff from the Lord's presence just as he commanded him. And he and Aaron gathered the assembly together and in front of the rock. And Moses said to them, listen, you rebels, must we bring you water out of this rock? And then Moses raised his arm and struck the rock twice with his own staff, and water gushed out in the community, and their livestock drank. Tremendous miracle. But this was the moment. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, because you did not trust in me enough to honor me as holy in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this community into the land I give them. Now, I've heard a lot of explanations for why God took the leadership of Moses away from him and would not allow him to bring the people into the land. I've heard that it was because he got angry. I've heard it's because he struck the rock twice rather than speaking to the rock as he was commanded. Well, I got to tell you, that's a pretty rough punishment. You sort of got carried away by your emotions and struck the rock twice instead of speaking to it. I think there's something more here. I think it's 2 things. I think it's the way Moses thought of the people and the way Moses was thinking of himself. And in front of the rock, Moses said to them, listen, you rebels. I think that's the key. Moses had reached the point in his weariness where he simply did not believe that these people could change. They had always been rebels among him. They would always be rebels. There is no way they could change, which of course is exactly the plan of God, that they do change and become a nation of priests for Him. Something happens when a leader gives up on the people. Let me give you an example. As a teacher, the moment I believe the student cannot learn, I cease to be the teacher. As a leader, the moment I believe the people cannot change, I cease to be the leader. And that moment is in this story. And it's compounded with the way Moses thought of himself. We bring you water out of this rock. And he had taken the glory off of God's shoulders and onto his own. I'll do this. I'll show you what I can do. I'll take care of this myself. When you give up on God's people, when you take it all on your own shoulders, the Lord says, you do not trust in me enough to honor me as holy, and you lose your leadership. That's a powerful story. Powerful story. It takes a lot of self-awareness, and it takes a lot of empathy. It takes hope. It takes perseverance. And it takes knowing, when has my time come to an end? Because I can no longer believe that these people can change. And Lord, teach me, encourage me, show me how to be the leader you want me to be.